Well, thanks Eliza, and thanks to Landcare and the South Australian Government for holding this event. I've travelled from Albury, New South Wales to come here, and it's great to finally get a chance to look at the South Australian landscape, which I've only done when I was in my teens going on a holiday from Victoria to South Australia, which I don't think I paid much attention. So it's great to finally see the landscape and get to understand South Australia a bit more. So today, collaborative farming. I'm really interested to hear the other presenters today. This is a passion of ours. Collaboration from our point of view, especially from an aspiring farmer's point of view, is key to you guys owning a farm if that is your dream. I don't think you can do it on your own. That is why you need to be good at collaborating. The focus of my presentation is around changing mindsets. So we're all about making it possible for anyone to own a farm, and what we're saying now is no longer how much money you have that determines whether you're going to be a farmer. It's what your mindset is and how hard you're willing to work. And that's going to be the whole thesis of this discussion today, that anybody here who has $10 in your bank account could become a farmer and live the dream. So this is Tim and Tegan Hicks. They are co-founders of Cultivate Farms. And they're the sort of people that if you're at the grocery store and you're buying your lettuce or you're buying your steak, you think, yeah, they're the farmers that are growing my produce, and I'm so pumped for Australian farming. But in reality, these guys will never be farmers. They don't have $5 million in the back of their pocket, so their farming dreams are squashed, and they're wannabe aspiring farmers. And if you looked at things a couple of years ago, for the last 100 years, they would probably go off and have another job somewhere else in a skyscraper somewhere in Adelaide and just do another job and live an unfulfilled life. And we do not want that, and we're telling you now it is no longer the case. So we're saying you can own a farm, and it's possible to own a farm at any age. It is all about how much you want it. And I'll talk about what Cultivate Farms does in a second to outline how that works, but I guess that's the message here, is that you probably haven't had many people say to you, hey, you don't need to be a millionaire to be a farmer. I'm saying it to you today, and I want you to pay attention, make notes, because there are exciting times ahead for you guys. These are the 5 areas I'll talk about today. And so everyone in this room hopefully fits into one of these categories. These are the best images I could get to represent these categories. So there's aspiring farmers in the top left, retiring farmers in the bottom left, investors, farm advisors, and then over the bottom right is community, and I couldn't get a better image for community. So in my mind, this is all about mindsets. So if we want to make a difference for regional communities in South Australia, in Australia, it's not necessarily about getting millions and millions of dollars into farming. It's not about making farms cheaper. It is just about changing mindsets, and we can go a long way to getting thousands of young people back onto farms, make farms more profitable, and make transitioning off your farm a really positive thing. So we're saying to aspiring farmers, this is about how much you're willing to hustle. How hard are you willing to work? What are you doing between 5 p.m. at the end of your job and midnight to help get you onto your farm? How many emails are you sending? How many people are you harassing? It is absolutely possible, and I'll outline practical steps around that. For retiring farmers, it's how much are you willing to share? We understand farmers have been in people's families for generations, but maybe it's time to think about letting another family in onto your farm to support your community and help you to step back and for you to retain your connection to the farm. For investors, one, we're going to outline what do we mean by investors, and they're not just the rich people in the city, but we're saying to investors, and this is even superannuation funds, are you willing to share and give equity to your farmers? Because there's something about ownership that the next generation or anyone wants to have in terms of farming, and that's how you're going to get the best people, is by giving them some ownership. Advisors in the middle here, we want you to realise that you have so much power in influencing your community. There's bankers or agronomists. You know the lay of the land, you understand who's doing what and where people are wanting to move, and you yourselves can be a matchmaker and also provide options for your business as well to create ongoing work through bringing new people into farming. And then the bottom right is representing communities, and we're saying communities don't just sit around complaining that no young person wants to be a farmer in your community or that your community is getting older. Take your future into your hands, and you guys can become the matchmakers. You understand the lay of the land the best, so get out there and find great people and bring them to your community. That's the summary, so I'm going to unpack all that. So how is farm ownership possible? It's through matchmaking. This is what we do with Cultivate Farms, but you do not need us to do this. This is just about having conversations, finding an aspiring farmer who wants to run a farm with a retiring farmer who has the farm and wants to step back, maybe not completely, and then investors. So there's hundreds, if not thousands of people across Australia who would love to invest into farming, and they're out there now looking for farm opportunities. And they need aspiring farmers to bring deals to them. And they want retiring farmers to come and present opportunities of their own farm. So what we're doing is making it possible for the aspiring farmer to bring deals, or for deals to come to them, saying you can be a co-owner in a farm with retiring farmers and investors. And to us, that sounds really exciting, and hopefully you guys are pumped up as well. I want to just quickly touch on this just to emphasise what we mean by investors, because I get it that saying investors can be a bit of a hard thing to get your head around, a bit scary. What I'm trying to do here is show you that there are lots of options for investors. Investors are not necessarily high net worth individuals who want to make a lot of money by screwing you into the dirt to make your farm bigger and better. Of course they are there, but we're talking about wealthy farmers. There are farmers out there who want to expand their empire, and they need you to come in and say, hey, I'll run your next farm, but I want to be co-owner with it. There could be the retiring farmer themselves who says, I will invest by keeping money into the farm through vendor finance or setting up an equity arrangement. There could be other retired farmers who are sitting in town wishing they still owned a farm, who have a bit of cash in their self-managed super, who think, I'd love to be able to invest into a young person or bring the full forward back in to the town by investing in a farm. Other locals in town who want to invest into good businesses and make a good return. Self-managed super, as I quickly mentioned. Your friends and family. Equity crowdfunding. We're going to start doing equity crowdfunding in the start of 2018. So anyone for a minimum of $2,500 can own part of a farm. And you can just imagine how many people out there would love to be able to do that. And so you can now bring a proposal to anyone in Australia to get them to back you to own a farm with them. And of course the bank. The bank will offer up to 50% debt for your farm. That's massive. And I think we underplay the value of banks. It's just that we can never get that gap between your savings and what the bank will give you. But banks are obviously a key part of this whole arrangement. And also just quickly on investors as well, I want to highlight that there are other organisations out there wanting to do good with farming. And this is a new one which I'm on the board of, which is called the Organic and Regenerative Investment Cooperative. And they're all about buying farmland and ensuring it's there for the long term for organic and regenerative farmers, and they'll lease it out at a really good rate. But the aim is to support the whole organic farming industry and to provide opportunities to investors who are out there who want to make money but also want to do good at exactly the same time. So it's just to emphasise to you guys that the investment scene is changing. People want to support young people. People want to invest into communities. People want to invest into food. And there's vehicles being set up to help that to happen. That's why we're here as well. So it's more just to show you that money is no longer a barrier. It is absolutely no longer a barrier to you guys getting out there and living your farming dream or stepping back from your farm. So Cultivate Farms, we do the matchmaking. We match the aspiring farmer with a retiring farmer and investors to own and operate a farm together. It's about conversations. We did think about calling ourselves eFarmony, but obviously it's too corny. But the idea is purely getting people around a kitchen table who have the same sort of values and to work through how much equity they have, what their hopes are for the farm, how the farm is going, how's it going to make money, what are your skills, how do we grow this business, and get their advisors and their lawyers and accountants and their mates involved as well and figure out a really great arrangement. It's all we do is bring the people to have the conversation, and we want those people to figure out a great arrangement. Why are we doing it? Because we want more photos like this taken in regional Australia where there are young people back in the bush, and we really do want to rejuvenate regional communities. So I grew up on a dairy farm in central Victoria. Tim grew up on a farm in the Riverina, New South Wales, and Tegan married a wannabe farmer. So we all understand regional communities, and we've seen our communities go backwards. And my dad now, because we sold the farm, he works as a labourer on a neighbour's farm. And I ask him, when you go to the silos to drop the wheat off, how many new young kids are there on new people, fresh blood coming into the community? And he says, none. And that gets me angry, I guess, is that why aren't we able, and this is on a property, on a farm 50 k's north of Bendigo, which is one of the biggest centres in Victoria. how are we allowing this to happen to our regional communities? That the farms are getting bigger, the full forward's not playing there, being imported from the big town, and our communities are getting smaller. And I guess that's the thing that's driving us, is we want to reverse that. It doesn't have to be this way. All we need to do is find the opportunities for young people to get onto farms, and they will come back in their droves. And that is why we're pumped for the next 5 to 10 years. So what we do in the details around matchmaking, there's a few other things we do, which is around creating hope, getting you farm ready, and then the matchmaking itself. So these 3 themes I'm going to use to discuss each of those 5 areas I talked about at the start around retiring farmers, investors, etc., and aspiring farmers. So here's the download of all the practical advice that you can use right now. You don't need us to make this happen. So please get your notepads out and get scribbling furiously. But the whole idea of hope, just before I go there, is it's about a lot of the time what we do with aspiring farmers is have these conversations saying, you can be a farmer, and you just see lights go in people's heads that they're thinking, oh, what? I would love to be a farmer. I'll quit my job teaching tomorrow if I could be a farmer. So there's this barrier that's in front of people's eyes that they're thinking, no, I can't be a farmer. That's impossible. I'll go do this other job, or I'll be an agronomist. Nothing wrong with agronomists. And they're not living their dream. So we're saying, get rid of that. It is now actually an absolute reality. So get dreaming and have hope. Then we're saying, once you've got hope, now go get farm ready. If you're not good enough, you're not going to get on a farm. So make sure you've got the skills, make sure you've got the networks to be able to run a farm, a profitable farm. But without that hope, why would you go get farm ready? So we're saying, get your hope, we'll then help you get farm ready. And then once you're ready and we're finding farms just for you, let's get you on there, let's get you matched, and you're off and running. So aspiring farmers, hope. Here's just some practical steps around what you should be doing to get that hope in your head. And number one thing is writing things down. And it sounds pretty basic, but I think it's so powerful, is that we want people to write down what it is you actually want to go and farm. Because if an opportunity comes to us that you can go farm in Ururu, and you're not ready because you haven't written down your plan, what a waste. But if you're mentally prepared and you know what you want and you're happy to go to Ururu, fantastic, you're off. But without you understanding what you want, it's the simple stuff, you're not going to be able to go and do it. And we've had people say to us, that's not quite the right farm for me, I'm sorry. And that's fine, but also we want to make sure you guys are ready, that when opportunities are there, you're ready to go. So it's a big one. We want to know, are you actually hungry? There's a lot of people out there say, yeah, I'd like to be a farmer, it sounds romantic, but are you actually ready for this? And are you desperate enough? And again, what are you doing between 5 p.m. and midnight every night to hustle to get on your farm? Because it's going to be hard work to get there, but this is your life. How much are you willing to work for it? It's like any business. You're an entrepreneur, you would work crazy hours. Why aren't you working crazy hours yourself as an aspiring farmer to make your dream a reality? Talk it out. I often find it, you ask somebody what they want to do with their lives and they say, I want to be a farmer. They're really shy about it. And you think, why are people talking about it? At every dinner party, you should be telling people, I'm going to be a farmer, have you got a farm? You should be out there talking to as many people as you can, because how else are people going to find out that you want to be a farmer unless you're telling them? I just think it's ridiculous that we've got this culture or this attitude that you don't tell people your dreams because people shoot you down. Yeah, people will shoot you down, but again, how much do you want this? You should be out there just hustling all the time, telling people and talking it out. And this last one here, you should be meeting regularly with people who are like-minded, because there's a lot of people who think you're crazy wanting to be a farmer, but there are a lot of other crazy people out there who'll back you, so make sure you hang out with those people. Farm ready. Now that you know you want to be a farmer and you're pumped up and you're telling everybody, you need to know if you've got the skills. So if we're matching you with retiring farmers who have spent their whole life putting their effort into this soil, they don't want just anybody walking off the street to manage their farm. So you've got to make sure you've got the right skills. So you've got to get there, have you got the right skills, and improve them. That means taking courses, online courses, going to university, but I don't know how useful university is sometimes. This means working on farms. Check out AgDraft, awesome website to match you for farm jobs. Build up your farming CV. Get a lease. I know it's really hard, and that's another issue we can talk about, but getting even some sort of lease and having some cattle or some chickens or whatever, but showing that you're ready to have a crack, I think, is a massive thing. And when I talk to investors, they're always, half of what they're thinking about with investment is the person and whether they're actually having a crack. I was talking to a pig farmer just before, actually, and she says she's got a business mentor. She's had one for the last 5 years. And I just think that's awesome. That is a sort of thing, that sort of mindset that you need to have if you want to take over a multi-million-dollar business and own it. And the last one here, I think, is I don't think business in general realises the power of social media, let alone aspiring farmers. But you as aspiring farmers, if you do not have a Facebook page, an Instagram account, a Snapchat page, any of those or all of those, then you're really missing out on your ability to get onto your farm. You need to be out there creating content around you becoming a farmer, documenting your journey around the skills you're learning, the farm you want to be on, the people you're meeting, the photos that you're taking out on other people's farms that you want to farm on. You need to be creating content to get people's attention because if people don't know you want to be a farmer, they're not going to bring you farm opportunities, and the power's right in your hand. Right now, you guys would rather be on your phone, on Facebook, than listening to me. Everyone's on it. That is where people are, and if you're not creating content on there, people aren't going to hear about what you want to do. So we just emphasize so much that you should be on there documenting your journey, building an audience, and audience equals opportunities. I think the next generation of farmers, if you don't realise the power of social media, then you've been sleeping for the last 10 years. You're on it all the time. Why aren't you using it to your power, to your advantage? I just think that's so massive. And we're trying to do this as well with Cultivate Farms. We're getting Tim and Tegan, who are the first farmers to be matched on their farm. We're just getting Tim to do Facebook Live updates, just talking about what's happening on this leased farm to show people how great it is to be a farmer, but also so people will see it. And he's getting feedback all the time saying, "Oh, I saw you on your video the other day, Tim," and it opens a discussion around, well, this is just a leased farm, we're after a real farm. Let us know if you've got one. And that, I think, again, is just so powerful to open doors for these conversations. And then matchmaking, and Eliza, make sure you chase me up with time as well. Matchmaking. So this is now, you've got the hope, you've got all the skills you need. Now, a lot of this is over to you. So we're going to find farms, but this is, again, over to you. Treat this like being a farm entrepreneur. Be realistic as well, that this will probably take 5 years. It could take 10 years, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't be hustling absolutely every day to make it happen. But be realistic that this could take some time to find that right retired farmer or the right person who might be able to back you financially. You should know the landscape. You should be better than a real estate agent in understanding who is going to move, who's going to stay, and how long it is that they're going to leave the land. I've had people say to me, "Oh, well, this farm was up for sale the other day, I can't believe it." It's like, that's pathetic. You should have known 3 years ago that they were going to sell. You should be on top of it. You should have already been there over dinner every week for the last 6 months, talking about how you can help on the farm or what you can do to be a great support and have conversations. You should know every banker, lawyer, accountant, agronomist, other experts in agriculture who know the landscape. You should know all of them and have them on speed dial and hassle them every single time you see them and say, what's happening with the landscape, who's moving, who's not, who's going to retire, who's going to step back. You should know everything. Again, if you don't know this, how are you going to jump onto opportunities and hit your name out there? And that's again why I'm saying this is about hustle. This is just about being creative in your thinking. There are people out there with land, there's people out there with money. You just need to be the person to say, I can farm this for you and with you. I'm the best, pick me. Put your audience to work. Well, now you've got a social media following, you should be out there hustling saying, guys, remember, what do I say every Friday? Find me a farm, or whatever it is, but using your audience who are out there being your eyes and ears to find your farms as well. And media, why don't you go to a local newspaper and say, guys, it is the worst time to be a young farmer in Australia or this region. No one's giving me any opportunities. All I want is this. Get an article in the front page of the newspaper. Do whatever. Be the commentator on all things young farmer or new farmer in your community. Use the media. People love that sort of stuff. Use it to your advantage and get your face out there. But this is absolutely the number one thing we want all our aspiring farmers to do, is to be an entrepreneur and to pitch farms. So there's a template on our website, which I need to find a better link for, but it is available. Just send me an email, which has a template, and we're turning this into an online farm pitching marketplace. It'll be live next year, where you'll be able to sit there, find a farm off realestate.com.au, pull a proposal together around why you're the best farmer, why this farm's worth it, and how you're going to farm it. and we'll take that next day, that'll be in front of an investor. And you could be on your farm in the next month or two. And to me, that is just absolute power in your hands. Coming back to how much do you really want this? Do you have the skills? Can you pitch a farm? So we want you downloading this template, and we're even playing this sandpit area on our website every night between 5 p.m. and midnight, writing why you are the best farmer and figuring out how to pull together a profit and loss statement, how to figure out the marketing, and how to make sure you can run a profitable farm. Because there is are there any barriers to you getting onto your farm, because there's no excuse anymore that you don't know investors or you don't know any retiring farmers. You just go on realestate.com.au and pitch a farm, and we can help find the investors for you to get onto your farm. So that, I think, we just love it so much, and we just want people to really grasp what is now available to anybody who wants to be a farmer. You'll probably need to pitch 5 times a year, maybe 10 times a year, because your first pitch will be terrible. But just keep going. That's what entrepreneurs do. All right, retiring farmers. So the same sort of thing, hope. We want retiring farmers to have a great experience of stepping back from their farm. And if you want to leave and walk away, fantastic. But if you're thinking about staying part of your community, helping the next generation of farmers, we think that's a really brilliant thing to do. And I actually think it's more of a win than just leaving and walking away. So we want you to document your plan. This is what we tell retiring farmers who we talk to. Document your plan, write down what it is you want for your farm, what are your hopes and dreams for your farm if you happen to walk away, or for the next 10 to 20 years while you still remain on. We also say we'd love you to be a mentor. Why aren't you out there putting your hand up to encourage the next generation of farmers and offer your skills? Instead of leasing your farm to the next door neighbour who already has 20,000 acres, why don't you think about leasing it to the young person who's coming to your house every week for dinner? Think about different ways of supporting the next generation. And do your own matchmaking. We want retiring farmers out at the nightclub every week, at the footy club, out in the street, assessing the next generation of farmers and saying, I want them. And doing their own homework to figure out who it is they want on their farm. You don't have to wait for us to bring aspiring farmers to you. And we just think that's so empowering. Imagine if a retiring farmer went up to a young person and said, I've been watching you the last year. I think you're awesome. I would like you to farm with me. Problem solved in all of Australia in terms of farming and regional communities. We want retiring farmers to talk it out. Again, there's some sort of restriction in people saying they want to step back from the land, like it's some sort of disease that you can't physically talk it out. We want retiring farmers to say, yeah, I'm thinking about stepping back in a couple of years' time. I'm up for options. I want people to come pitch me ideas, which I'll talk about in a second. You should be maybe go to the media. Use the media to your advantage to say, I've got the best farm in the district. I want the best people all over Australia to come and see if they'll farm on my farm with me. Use social media. I know every generation is on Facebook. There is no excuse to say that no one uses Facebook. Everyone is on it. Why aren't retiring farmers using it to their advantage as well and writing stories about how awesome their farm is to get attention? And Farm Shark Tank. We want to do this, and I'll talk about this in the communities as well. Why not put it out there that you want, and we can help with this as well. We want 20 pictures from the best next generation of farmers across Australia. And instead of putting a sign up the front of your house hoping somebody drives past or clicks to try and buy your farm, you can now get the best people in Australia to propose how they're going to take your farm and your business to the next level. I'm enjoying this. You guys are too. Regional communities. We want you to take your future into your hands. Do not sit around and complain that no young people want to be in your community. They do. They just need the opportunities, and you know your community better than anyone else, and you should be stitching up deals. So we want you guys to support the hope. We need consensus in your community that you want young people back and you want them thriving, you want community thriving, and you want to help the older generation to step back from their farms. So you should, again, have a social media account. Tell the world that you want young people. Promote it. You'll get access to everyone in Australia. Use media. Hit up the local media and say, hey, we're a community open for business with young people. Come. Then supporting farm ready action. So holding information forums about why young people can get onto farms in your district. You could set up mentoring programs. You could support leases. So any farmers thinking about doing leasing can come to this community group and say, hey, who's the next best young person I want to lease it to? And I'll support my community. But the things we're really excited by is this matchmaking concept where you guys in your community, you know who is looking to step back and you know that you need to get new people in. So why not be the matchmakers yourselves and set those deals up? Talk to the retiring farmer, you're trusted, you know them, they know you. You can start working them through opportunities for them to step onto, get young people onto their farm. You can set up community managed funds where people can invest their money, current farmers, local community members, into a fund which buys farms that are backed by young people, or that get young people onto them and help the older generation to step back. You could set up your own community shark tank where you put a call out for 5 farms in your district and you want the best farmers in Australia to pitch to be farmers on those farms. And think about creative farm opportunities. There's a farm in northwest Tasmania run by a dairy farmer who's won lots of awards, and he was frustrated about his community that there weren't any young people. So he took to a meeting like this an investment proposal for a dairy farm for around $1 million or something like that, and that night he had 8 investors, $200,000 each. So it must be around 1.6. But he had, that night, he had it, and he's got a builder, is now the farmer there, and making 8% return, and the appreciation of the land's already 50%, and they're going again. We don't have to think in traditional ways. We can think creatively and again take our future into our hands. And then farm advisors. So we're talking about accountants, bankers, succession planners, lawyers, real estates. You guys could probably name other areas. I'm trying to think who else out there. People in the community who have the contacts with the retiring farmers, with the pulse of the community, and need employment and need work. We encourage these people and the organisations to realise the power that they have to take control of their community and generate wealth for themselves by being the matchmakers of these arrangements. The accountants know everybody who's looking to step back or probably should step back in their district. Bankers absolutely know that. Succession planners, that's their job. We just implore anybody here, anybody in Australia who has any of these roles to think bigger than just their immediate business and think about how they can be stitching up farms for the next generation of farmers. So hope. I've heard vendor finance arrangements being set up with a new farmer and a retiring farmer, and then the retiring farmer takes it to their accountant who says, don't be stupid. That's ridiculous. No. Deal over. So the advisors just have so much power in creating creative solutions for these farm ownership opportunities. And if these people are not even open to the idea of vendor finance or shared equity or share farming, lease to buy, having 2 entities, one leases off the other, if these people are not on top of the details and advocating for it, then you're screwed. And that's just really depressing. That's why we want people to normalise the discussion around different farming ownership arrangements. We want these advisors to sponsor events like this. Imagine if you can get the next generation of farmers into a meeting sponsored by your business. It can show you're here to support the next generation. You're real, you're in touch with the community. You're finding practical solutions. I think it's a great business model to be able to chase up. We want you to talk to your customers directly and start and promote, hey, there's this thing called Cultivate Farms, or you could do it yourself. We've got 5 young farmers who'd love to farm your farm. How about it? Hold events for aspiring farmers, and social media. Why aren't these businesses, why aren't succession planners providing the 5 top easy ways to hand your farm on to the next generation, providing all this content out there that people will read and realise, wow, these succession planners are talking about it. Maybe it's a normal and a perfectly logical thing to follow. Same sort of theme as the others. We encourage your clients to lease to new farmers. Find aspiring farmers and match them onto good farmers that you know and get them to work for a couple of years on that farm to get their skills up. Sponsor memberships to Cultivate Farms. And then matchmaking. So actually, again, you don't need us. These accountants, lawyers, you have the relationships. You can do your own meetings to bring people together to say, let's have a conversation. We think this could really work and make a lot of money for everyone. Advising retirement age farmers that they should be thinking about or they can think about handing on to someone else's kids other than their own. Promote ownership arrangements. I think that's another thing we want to try and do, is normalise discussions like Sam will be talking about around different arrangements for handing on the farm, that have case studies from real people who have done vendor finance or set up an equity arrangement, and normalise it that way. We want people to find investment opportunities. So we want these accountants to go, oh, I know there's 5 people who have a stack of cash in their bank account sitting there doing nothing, or is terrible in their self-managed super. I'm going to advise them that they should think about investing into local farms with local people. So I'm going to wrap up there, but to me, we're really, really excited for the future of farming in Australia. We don't hear many other people talking like this about farming and the opportunities available for the next generation, and we don't think it's that hard. Again, this comes back to, what is your mindset? You as an aspiring farmer, who has created their Facebook page already tonight? No one. How much are you willing to hustle to get on your farm? Money is no longer a limitation. Retiring farmers, will you share with kids that aren't your own and make more money by doing that? Investors, one, do you realise you are an investor if you've got spare cash lying around? And 2, if you are an investor, are you willing to share, because you're not going to get the best farmer unless you're going to give them some ownership? Communities, stop whinging, get out there and bring people into your community. And farm advisors, there's money to be made here by supporting your community and you being a bit of a matchmaker for these young farmers. So how we would love to help. Any aspiring farmer here today, you can sign up as a member, and it's heavily discounted at the moment until we get this farm matchmaking template, matchmaking service up and running. So if you want to sign up for lifetime membership that's discounted, I'd encourage you to do it now. That'll help us also to get rolling. Retiring farmers, we're happy to have a discussion. We're talking to 35 retiring farmers from all over Australia at the moment, and working through what they would like to do to get an aspiring farmer on. Investors, we will bring you farm opportunities. If you've got money to spend, we can help you spend it. Brokers or farm advisors, we want you bringing us deals. We want you to say, hey, I've got a great farmer, what do we do? Or I've got a great farm, what do we do? Or I've got 2 of them, and I can bring them together and say, fantastic, good, keep going. Or communities, we'll help you set up pitch events. We'll set up Farm Shark Tank if you want us to do it. If you've got farms that are ready to go, retiring farmers who are willing to do this, we will do whatever we can to make it happen. Just reach out. Again, we just think there is just so much potential here. It's untapped, and it's, again, relatively straightforward. This is just about all of us slightly changing our mindsets, and we can have thriving communities full of next generation farmers. Thank you.